Hey, folks, it's your buddy Mike Messier having an interesting hair day. And it's actually evening. It's Wednesday night. And you know what that means. I watched the Dave Chappelle special tonight. I guess it's been out. Uh, Today is Wednesday. And I think this is either, you said it came out on a Tuesday. So was that yesterday or was that 8 days ago? I'm not sure. Whenever I hear about some big pop culture controversy, I like to get to the source material before I hear a lot of different opinions and voices on the topic. Same thing with movies. I mean, just on a lighter note, the other day I was in a film group um, Zoom chat with all these people, and people wanted to talk about this Halloween Kills movie. And I said, please do not discuss the movie. I'm going to go see the movie. But people continued to talk about it, so I put them all on mute. Because if I want to see something or if I want to be in on the situation, I want my opinion to come from the source and my own instincts. Now, I kind of tampered with that tonight because I was trying to watch this Netflix special with Dave Chappelle without having a tempered opinion, but I couldn't help myself. After I watched the special, I clicked on a couple of videos on YouTube. Black News Tonight had an interesting panel discussion, and I read an article on Vox, and I saw some of the things on Twitter of the protest apparently from people, employees at Netflix, transgender employees, and allies, and so it's tough because I how do I feel about it? I mean, just from my perspective, watching the special, and I think here's the thing, folks. Everybody sees the world like they're the superstar in their own mind. We all interpret the world as it's us against the world. It's Mike against the world. It's Judy against the world. It's Dave against the world. We all see the world as a as everything but us, meaning the individual. The individual is here, and everything else is outside of us. And going with that psychology, Dave Chappelle apparently feels that he's had these issues with the transgender community going back 15 years or so. He talks about this comedian Daphne, a transgender lady that he was friends with and had open up for him as a comedian. She spoiler, unfortunately, she committed suicide, and Dave seems somewhat bitter about that. Somewhat bitter that people have protested his shows. We have a nice comment here. Hi, Bob. How you doing, buddy? Bob with a nice hi, Mike. Thanks, Bob. Um, and So we have this whole big, controversy. Now, there's so many layers to this. First of all, I think that there's a certain element of folks. It doesn't have to be transgender, but it could be. It could be anybody who feels like unless you're part of a community, a group, whether it's a minority, whatever you want to call it, unless you're a part of the group, you have no business making fun. You have no business making jokes. You have no business with commentary. No business with opinion. That's going to be tough to reconcile in this world. For better or for worse, uh, as I've heard someone say, we're not in a melting pot, we're in a salad. You know what I mean? That term melting pot would seem to mean that all the potatoes and the carrots and the peas and all the beef barley become one big gruel of a meal. Well, it's more like we're a salad bar in the United States of America and to some extent other parts of the world. There's some here, there's some there, and so forth. But you don't really change what you are because you're around people that are different. You stay what you are. You stay the cottage cheese. They stay the lettuce. The carrots stay the carrots, and everybody stays what they are. You're just forced to intermingle with each other. So my point is, if that perspective that unless you're part of a group, you have no business having an opinion. You have no business making jokes. You have no business giving advice. I don't know if that holds up in reality. I just don't. Because if it did, then the transgender community or any community would have to have their own infrastructure, their own money exchange, everything. You know what I mean? And how divisive can we get? I mean, for better or for worse, we're all dependent on each other. We're all intertwined. Now with Dave's special here, see some people. I'm going to be full disclosure here. 15 years ago when everybody was kind of singing a song about Dave Chappelle and watching, Comedy Central, the Dave Chappelle show. This lighting is horrible. It's in and out. It's bothering me. But I was never one of these people, to be honest with you, to watch the Chappelle show and hang on its every moment. I know a lot of people did, and I think around, I'm going to stand up and put a light bulb on because this is upsetting to me. I just need better lighting. It's upsetting. So there you go. I should have done that earlier. I was trying to be intimate, but I'm going to sacrifice intimacy for light. Hashtag light. 15 years ago, I'm thinking about it. Dave Chappelle show was big. Things like poker. Poker was big around 2005. Like people watching televised poker. I never quite got into it. Like everybody had to watch poker on TV, like it mattered worth a fuck. You know what I mean? So these are going to the dying days of 4x3, if you understand what I'm saying. Like the 2005 era, I was not a big Chappelle show guy. It was nothing against it. I just didn't watch it. As a side note, I didn't even realize that Eddie Murphy had a brother, Charlie Murphy, who was on the Chappelle show, who apparently passed away a few years ago. I didn't really realize that. So the point is, the whole Rick James bitch and everything else, it wasn't something that dominated my life. Now, when Dave started doing Netflix specials once again, I'm not a Netflix subscriber for the most part. I do have an account. If there's something I really want to see, I'll sign up for a while and then I'll ditch it. The reality is, folks, I'm writing books. I'm writing screenplays. I don't have time to ingest all this content. People always tell me, "Oh, did you watch this? Did you watch that?" I'm doing my own goddamn thing. I don't have time to watch all these fucking shows. I don't understand how people have time to sit there and watch all this programming, because I sure as fuck don't. Uh, Now let's get to the Dave Chappelle special. Having just watched it about 45 minutes ago, it ended. I think it's like a 70 or 80-minute special. I enjoyed it, and that's just my perspective. I mean, Dave is saying right in the special that he's going to get his fingernails dirty, that this is going to be bristly. Um, I enjoyed it. Now, what I was saying earlier about Dave is coming from the perspective of Dave Chappelle's experience. He feels like him and the transgender community have battled tooth and nail, and maybe for outsiders like myself and for you, maybe you're like, well, why is this thing such a big deal? Well, I guess it is. It really depends on how you look at it. Like I'm not him. I'm not experiencing what he's going through, and I'm not the transgender folks either. I'm not experiencing what they're going through. But from the outsider, just watching the special, and I've seen some of Dave's specials, but I can't memorize each and every one of them. Um, I think he makes some good points. I think he makes some good humor. I think at the end, and he's telling the story about his friend Daphne, the unfortunate lady who committed suicide. It feels very real to me. It feels like this is his real experience with this, and it feels like he is in his own way extending an olive branch, saying that he's not going to make any more transgender jokes. He's making fun of himself, but he's a comedian, folks. Comedians are not Lenny Bruce. Okay, do you know who that is? Richard Pryor. I mean, Eddie Murphy. I mean, if you watch Delirious now, you'll be very offended for the most part. Most people in the 2021 sensibility, if you watch Eddie Murphy Delirious, you'd probably be very offended if you have a certain disposition. So I liked the special. I thought it was good. At the end of the special, I don't know if anyone's saying this, but they show a bunch of photographs of Dave with, he was on the David Letterman Netflix show. He dedicates the show to Norm Macdonald. They show, Dave with all his Hollywood friends and other people. And he dedicates it, I believe, to his wife. But they also show for a moment a photograph of people holding a sign that says Black Trans Lives Matter. So I think, in my opinion, I don't want to speak for Dave Chappelle. I think he does a fine job speaking for himself. What I've noticed about me, folks, is I'm a very good translator. This morning, for whatever reason, I ended up having a conversation with a fine gentleman who, for whatever reason, was trying to tell me all the things wrong with President Biden. A guy who I think voted for him, because he was also talking about all the things wrong with President Trump. But he was showing me all these clips of Biden and how Biden was talking about the best thing you can do in preparation for a hurricane is to get the vaccine. And I say, well, actually, it is a pretty smart idea because if your home's going to get trashed and you're going to go to a homeless shelter or you're going to go to a hospital or you're going to go to a police station, you're going to be around all these people. And wouldn't you rather be vaccinated than not? So I see it like when Biden's screwing up like that, or he's people are, oh, what does that have to do with the other thing? What does the hurricane have to do with getting vaccinated? I quickly see what he's saying. I quickly interpret things, and I think maybe just my higher level of intelligence, I can just translate what people are trying to say, whereas other people, for whatever the fuck reason, just don't have that extra layer of intelligence that I like to think that I have, which I do. We've got some comments here. We got a lot of high mics. Hi, Eric. How you doing, buddy? I still have that Dark Side of the Ring series of responses I'm going to give. So we got a couple of high mics. Are you guys on a team here or what? Jeez. Come on. Let's have some comments here, gentlemen. I don't know if either one of you find gentlemen, Bob or Eric, watch this special. Here's another point I'm going to make. I don't know, and you correct me if I'm wrong. I was watching this Black News Tonight debate. I'll see if I can find that here with a lady, Hope, transgender lady, and I'll be honest with you. I'm looking at this transgender lady, and I'm saying, man, they did a pretty good job with her. Like she, not. I mean, is this offensive for me to say this? But it looks like they did a convincing job with this young lady, who is now a lady and was born a man apparently, but trying to get her name up here. It's a debate. Hope, Giselle, and Torre. Funny because in my circle of friends, I don't know anyone named either Hope or Torre, but Hope, Giselle, and Torre talk Dave Chappelle's comments on transgender community. This is on BNC News. Uh, Interesting. I watched it. And, Hope Giselle had some great points. So if you're looking for another take on this, and look, Hope Giselle is an African American transgender female. So she has got some great points, which I would say that it made me open up my mind a little bit to what she's going through. The title of the YouTube video is Netflix Trans Employees Plan Walkout to Protest Chappelle Special. It's on BNC News, and it's Hope, Giselle, and Torre had a nice little debate. So she opened up my mind a bit. I'm going to give her credit. Let's see. Eric's chiming in. Biden just weirds me out. Keep in mind, I'm not right wing either. I hear you, buddy. Hey, look, I'll be honest with you, Eric. I watched, it was going back some time, like mid 2019, summer of 2019. I had a night where I watched, it was like a horror movie. I stayed up all night to watch creepy Uncle Joe videos on YouTube, and it creeped me out. You know what I mean? But guess what? Given the alternative, it is what it is. You know what I mean? I'm thinking in 2024, if we get to that place as a society, I'm kind of hoping we have like Kamala Harris versus DeSantis. You know what I mean? Like I'd be more interested in that rather than a Biden Trump rematch. To be honest with you, I'd pay my ticket for Kamala versus DeSantis. Like that, I'd be intrigued by. And to be honest, my favorite of all these political people there, Eric, since we're talking politics, is Tulsi Gabbard. Okay. Now, some people might say, who is she? Well, Tulsi is an American politician in the United States Army Reserve who served as the U.S. representative for Hawaii's 2nd Congressional District. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, boy. She was the first Hindu member of Congress. Interesting. She's Samoan American. She's 40 years old, April 12th, 1981. Born in America, Samoa. But Tulsi Gabbard, look into her. Very well spoken. She is a Democrat. She went to Hawaii Pacific University, Alabama Military Academy. She's written some books. But I'm Team Tulsi. You know what I mean? And I think that the establishment, the Democrats, aren't particularly Team Tulsi. I'd be third party if I wanted to vote. I got shit for being centrist. Well, bro, guess what, Eric? We're always going to get shit, man, no matter what we do. No matter what you do, no matter what I do, and that's the thing, even me doing this video now, I mean, thoughts race through my little head, which is, why am I speaking about this topic? It has nothing to do with me, except it does, you know what I mean? Because if people start censoring Dave Chappelle and saying that he can't tell his jokes, he can't tell his stories, he has no right to his opinion, what's going to happen to guys like Mike Messier when I do a WWE rant? You know what I mean? This guy is talking bad about wrestling. He's talking bad about Vince McMahon. He's talking bad about Triple H. He's talking bad about their Saudi Arabian shit shows. Let's slam this guy down. Good point, Eric. Then again, not all Dems or Republicans aren't necessarily evil. Well, you got some interesting. I don't know if you mean not all Dems or Republicans are necessarily or aren't. I mean, it could go either way. When we kind of take these words, these double negatives, it makes it a positive. But I get your point, Eric. I think I do, buddy. Um, it's tough, man. I'm going back to the Chappelle special. He does spend a lot of time on. I'm not busting your balls, buddy. I'm just saying that the double negative throws off the sentence a little bit. Uh, when we watch this Chappelle special, I'm entertained by it. I turn off the lights. I feel like I'm in a comedy club. I feel like I'm watching a master at work. Maybe it's not his most outrageous, hilarious special. I mean, some people are saying that. Well, it just wasn't that funny. Everybody's suddenly a fucking comedy critic now on Dave Chappelle, right? Oh, it's just not his best work. Well, well, well. Uh, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, maybe Dave's burnt out. I mean, Dave kind of goes through a funny bit where he's talking about being the leader of the feminists. I thought that was funny. Um, I don't know, but I mean, once again, I'm going to give this Hope Giselle a lot of credit. Um, basically, one thing that the moderator of that Black News Central talk said was, "Is it do the transgender people have to be, the captives for Dave Chappelle working on his issues? Does this entire community of people, do them in society have to sit there as this, comedian figures out his own shit? Chappelle shouldn't be canceled. He's a boss with his humor. Well, that's what I'm saying. I enjoyed it too. But I will say this. Now, this is where I will claim a little bit of ignorance. I can't sit here and list every Dave Chappelle Netflix special. You know what I mean? I can't say, oh, Sticks and Stones, he said this, and that one he said this, and that one he said that. I mean, he did one right after the George Floyd situation, murder, where he was talking about like the time of death for George Floyd matched his own birthday. This is Chappelle, and this was the outdoor comedy special. Well, that's what you might call a coincidence. I mean, I did a whole video, Dave, on December 5th, my birthday, Walt Disney's birthday, repealment day of alcohol, the first taping of Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling in 1986, apparently, was on December 5th. Um, Dynamite Kid was born on December 5th. He died on December 5th. Larry Zabisco was born on December 5th. But you don't see me saying December 5th. I mean, I did a little video about December 5th, but I'm not thinking that the whole world revolves around my birthday. There's 365 days in the year, right? So something's going to happen at any given day. There's going to be more things that happen on a date. As I get all choked up, Adam with a good point. And Adam, you should be checking your mailbox, buddy. Free speech is free speech. Don't like it, then don't watch or listen. Anyone that censors speech doesn't truly believe in freedom. Let's see here. Oops. Okay, Eric's thinking aloud a little bit. That's okay. Go back to Adam's point. Well, Adam, here's the thing, buddy, and I do believe in free speech. Of course, there's always that thing where we have free speech, but that old cliche or expression, can you yell fire in a crowded theater? And I want to look that up right now because I looked into that quote, that axiom, yell fire in a crowded theater. It's a famous quote. And basically, shouting fire in a crowded theater, Wikipedia, is a popular analogy for speech or actions made for the principal purpose of creating panic. The phrase is a paraphrasing of Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr.'s opinion in the United States Supreme Court, Schtick versus United States in 1919, which held the defendant's speech in opposition to the draft during World War I was not protected free speech under the First Amendment of the Constitution. The case was later partially overturned by Brandenburg versus Ohio in 1969. Okay, so this whole goddamn historical thing, which I'm sure is very interesting, but for my YouTube video, but basically that's the question. It's a nice little axiom or thing uh, about can you yell fire in a crowded theater? And here you go, Eric, with a nice little return, a nice little volley to my buddy there, Adam. Nice little volley back. Free speech isn't immune from backlash. Here you go. Good point, Eric. Yeah, so we could say, hey, I almost said Chris Rock because before Dave Chappelle became like the number one guy, Chris Rock was the number one guy. But Dave Chappelle, as far as comedians, Dave Chappelle, yes, he has the free speech, but then we can say, hey, these protesters also have the free speech, right? And if people want to drag him through Twitter or even drag his late friend Daphne through Twitter, I guess they had the free speech there too. And then we get into that whole other question of cyberbullying. If people are insulting celebrities, I'm thinking about that Asian women's wrestler like this a year and a half ago. If people are saying, well, free speech, we can say whatever we want, but there's kind of cyberbullying or mob bullying people, and those people end up committing suicide or whatever, is that free speech? Dave is almost comparable to Carlin. Yeah, I think they served kind of the same. I don't want to say the same purpose. I think Dave's popularity, believe it or not, surpasses Carlin's. And I remember George Carlin. He was huge, but I'll be honest. I mean, Carlin did a ton of HBO specials, and at the time, that was kind of the equivalent to these Netflix specials. I don't know if Carlin even went into these trenches. I mean, Carlin did the seven dirty words. He had a lot of great thoughts. I mean, he did a lot of things on, God and other things. And I think Carlin was great. Master, unbelievable. Carlin was awesome. But I don't know if Carlin ever went toe to toe with entire communities of people like Dave does. I could be wrong. I could be forgetting something. A fun little interesting fact, Eric, as a George Carlin fan or connoisseur, as they say. Do you realize? I believe he recorded a comedy special like 2 or 3 days before 9/11, and it was supposed to be like released on 9/11, September 11th, and apparently it never was because there were some kind of jokes about like the end of the world or terrorism or something about the I think either Joe Rogan or Howard Stern talked about this. I think it was Rogan. Um, that there was something about look at Joe Rogan's podcast. I think he was talking about this. Carlin recorded a comedy special that was supposed to come out on 9/11, but it never did. Uh, Interesting. Dave is all right, but Eddie Murphy Raw is still the pinnacle. I remember seeing that for the first time. Unbelievable. Very funny. It's my house. It's my house. Gotta Google. It's my house. Especially with the Chappelle show. So awesome, not leaving anyone immune from being roasted. Well, there you go. That's another great point, Eric. It is, and this guy Touche or Torre was saying that on this BNC debate I watched. Dave Chappelle in this special really does go after a lot of groups. He's talking about black people. He's talking about Jewish people. Um, white people, obviously. Look, I'm a white man. Should I be offended by Dave Chappelle? Should I be, hashtagging him into oblivion? I'm not. I can take a joke, but hey, I mean, I am a big white guy. So, I mean, no one's given me any sympathy for anything, and that's fine. I mean, if I wanted to sing a song about the troubles and trials I've been through in life, we'd be here all fucking night. But I choose not to do that. Let's see. Hey, Mike, we do a martial arts movie video. Yeah, sure, buddy. Put together your list. I thought I told you to do a vampire list, buddy, but put together your martial arts video the list. His skit as a clan member was funny. Yeah, going back to my buddy Carl here. Carl, yes, put together a martial arts movie list, buddy. We'll do that. I did want to do vampire list too, Carl. Eric, his skit as a Klan member was funny. Yes, the black KKK member. I'm going to hide that comment because what I've noticed is whenever I get a thumbnail for these, it always picks up the worst possible comment from somebody. So blah blah blah. Okay, keep commenting, gentlemen. But I know what you're talking about. The only black member of the KKK, he was blind. It's a great skit. It's a classic, along with the I'm Rick James bitch thing. Well, folks, I don't know if I've solved all the world's problems. I'm trying to think if there was other ways I wanted to dig deep into this. I mean, I think what I just watched on that news thing i- is it fair that the transgender community, if they are suffering from this, which I'm not doubting that they might be, or they might think they are, or are they? I don't know. I mean, I don't. To be honest, I don't think any regular normal person could watch this Dave Chappelle video, this 70-minute or 80-minute thing, watch this special and say, "Oh God damn it, I'm going to go out and beat up trans people." I don't think you would think that way. I think the way that the thing ends with he's talking about, show me humanity, treat me as a human. I'm having a human experience. He's talking about Daphne saying all this stuff. I don't think you could watch this, and a reasonable person could watch this special and somehow feel inclined to violence against transgender people or anybody. If someone was inclined to violence against transgender people, uh, they would be regardless of this special, and they probably wouldn't have the intelligence to sit there and watch a 70-minute comedy thing on Netflix. You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't think this video. If you don't like the special, first of all, I wonder if all these protesters have even watched it. Because here's one thing that's pissing me off. I'm looking at this Vox fucking article, which I highly disagree with. It's Vox.com. Let's see if I can get to the title of this goddamn thing. Dave Chappelle versus trans people versus Netflix. Chappelle's latest Netflix special, The Closer, may be a tipping point for trans people by Aja Romano. I disagree quite a bit of this article. Basically, it says in the special released October 5th, Chappelle's humor is more openly transphobic than ever. I don't agree with that. I think he is examining himself, he's examining the situation. Dave might be overblowing the importance of the situation uh, to the general public, but apparently not. We're sitting here talking about it. So I don't think, but that's just me. And here's one thing about me, folks. I have done stand up comedy. It's very difficult. When I was doing stand up comedy, I was often an angry comedian. Imagine that. I mean, you talk about the angry wrestling fan. I was an angry comedian. And a lot of times I found myself being one of those comedians to insult the audience or to get into barbs with the audience. And after doing this for maybe a year and a half or 2 years, just open mic stuff, I really didn't like myself doing that. I really didn't. Uh, I really didn't enjoy doing it because I found like I didn't like how I felt about myself or the gigs. These weren't paying gigs. These were mostly open mic things. I didn't like it. I think comedy is hard. I mean, they say that dying is easy and comedy is difficult. I don't believe these communities really exist. Yes, there are trans people and that they're right, but I don't think there's a community with a spokesperson that speaks for all trans folks. Good point. Except I would just say that there was someone who was kind of in charge or the talking head for this Netflix protest that apparently had like 200 people there. I swear most protesters against Dave had the damn annoying disposition. Well, there was also this video today, guys, of counter protests going there with signs that said "Dave is funny," and they were getting their signs ripped down, and just, I mean, I don't know what to fucking tell you, man. I mean, I probably have known, if I really do the counting, and maybe more that I don't know. So I think I've known 7 transgender people, and I believe in my life. I'm just doing a quick thought in my head because I'm trying to get this right, but I think all 7 were white men to white women. So I think when Dave's doing his comedy, he's coming from the perspective of the majority of transgender people that he's been exposed to in his human experience have been white men to white women. I think the interesting person that Dave maybe has never met is this Hope Giselle individual. If you go to her website, Hope Giselle, HOPEGISELLE.com, you would probably think she is a natural born woman. I mean, like I said, she had a nice surgery, and so I think that's kind of. I would love to see Hope Giselle and Dave Chappelle. It rhymes. I'd like to see them have a one-on-one debate. I don't know if that's happened, but she had some good points there, folks. So what can you do? That's the thing. One thing that the guy on that BNC thing was saying was, um, I think it was Torre said this. More than two things can be true at once. From Dave's perspective, Dave Chappelle, if most of the people that he's experienced that have been transgender are white men to white women, I think he's going at the comedy from that perspective, that most of these transgender people he knows are white. Hope Giselle will come in and say, well, I'm black and I'm transgender. Well, if Dave has never met her, or if it hasn't been his experience that there are black transgender people, then he wouldn't know that. So it's not part of his set or part of his goggles. They say that everybody sees the world through goggles, right? Uh, keep bringing the comments, gentlemen. Some good comments tonight. Adam, Eric, Carl. We have an all-star team here. I do appreciate it. You guys are more than willing, more than able to share the links. You can always copy and paste the URLs onto your own Facebook page. Be a proud Mike Messier supporter, as Adam coming through recently with a great gift box. You should be checking your own mailbox, Adam. So I think that, here we go. Carl has a nice thought. I had a friend who was dating a trans man and tell his dad about it a month later. His dad went crazy. Sorry, I'm laughing, folks. I just the wording of that was funny to me. I'm not laughing at just So Carl, if you have any more insights on that story, I don't know why I'm laughing. I just the way it was written made me laugh. Okay, don't hashtag me. Uh, when you going to come on my friend Jake's podcast, brother? Well, have Jake contact me, Mike. I'll be happy to. Mike Messier, movie maker at gmail.com. I'll be happy to talk to Jake. Good to see you here, Mike. I don't know if you just joined in, buddy, but we've had a really pretty extensive discussion here on this Dave Chappelle special. I keep wanting to say Chris Rock. I go into a time warp sometimes, and I think of like Bigger and Blacker, and I think of like the Chris Rock specials. I guess because I was more into the HBO world of television. Like that's when I was on the cutting edge of pop culture. Was when like 6 Feet Under and The Sopranos and fucking Oz and Chris Rock and Bill Maher and Dennis Miller, like all these fucking heavy hitters on fucking call it on HBO, and now it's like all Netflix. Sorry, I just didn't get into Netflix. I just haven't. I know it's $13.99 a month, and I don't know. Like I said, I used to know this guy named Mark, a real guy. It's not a wrestling joke. A guy named Mark. He would say, "Oh, you this that doc. Oh, you watch it on Netflix." I said, "I don't have Netflix." "Oh, you don't have Netflix? You're a filmmaker. You don't have Netflix." Yeah, because I'm too busy doing my own goddamn thing. Wasn't this the Dave show that Vince McMahon was at? I think it was. I didn't see him in the audience, Adam. Good old Vince. Be interesting. They are doing that Saudi Arabian crown jewel. I don't, and the funny thing is, I know that's how a lot of people know about me, because I was on the Vince Russo show and I was expressing myself in 2018. I was expressing myself about that whole thing, these Saudi Arabian shit shows, as I call them. And I was expressing myself thanks to Vince Russo. Dennis Miller still does a show on RT America. I know. I watch. Actually, Dennis Miller. What's RT America? I don't even know what that is. I was thinking of Bill Maher. What's RT America? Yeah, make a vampire list there, Carl. Very good, buddy. I'd like to do that. Put the. For me, I'm going to mention the Hammer horror films, vampire films. If you're familiar with those, Carl. What's RT America? I don't even know. But Dennis Miller, man. It used to be a thing for me when I would hear that Tears for Fears song, Everybody Wants to Rule the World. And by the effing way, if you got nothing better to do tonight after this live interactive rant is over, Go find on YouTube "Tears for Fears." Everybody wants to rule the world. It's a great fucking song. They also have a great song called "Shout" and "Sowing the Seeds of Love." And there was one other one that they had that was kind of a romance song. Let me see if I can find it because now it's stuck in my head. Um, Tears for Fears had like 5 or 6 good songs, and I just want to know what they are. Uh, Head Over Heels, songs from the Big Chair, 1985. Everybody, I mean, God, they had 3 huge hits from 1985. Shout, Head Over Heels, and Everybody Wants to Rule the World. Of all their songs, Everybody Wants to Rule the World, because it was the Dennis Miller Show theme song. That was the best. Um, Sowing the Seeds of Love was kind of a comeback hit. It wasn't as big as those hits. It was one of those things, gentlemen, where Tears for Fears were pretty much like a one album wonder. Although Sowing the Seeds of Love was pretty damn decent too. But Head Over Heels is a great song. Shout is a great song. But Everybody Who Wants to Rule the World is like a top 10. Okay, Mike, very good, buddy. You're pimping us out, man. Thank you, buddy. Many thanks, brother. He's going to DM you. Much appreciated. Yeah, I look forward to talking to him. Oh, look at that. Here's the dentist link. Thanks, Adam. Oh, gee whiz. Now I'm going to have to copy and paste and all that crap. What else can I complain about? Well, folks, here I am in New England. I started to get a little bit down, like as in depressed today. I mean, here's the goddamn. I'm going to bitch a little bit since you guys are listening to me. I appreciate it. I come out, I drive all the fucking way up from Florida to Rhode Island. I make a bunch of phone calls to people. I tell them I'm here, and they all give me the same goddamn story. Oh, how long are you gonna be here for? Which always means I don't have time to see you. Yeah, thanks, buddy. I'll post it on your page or in Messenger. Thanks, buddy. Whenever people give you that routine, how long are you gonna be here for? Basically that translates to, I'm not gonna make the time to see you today. You know what I mean? So everybody does that fucking game. I don't. I just. How do I phrase this? It's just the bullshit game of, oh yeah, how long you gonna be here? Which basically means I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? So I'm just gonna fucking leave when I feel like leaving. I've actually gotten to the point where I'm just turning off my phone because the people that say they want to see me, they don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? They can watch me on YouTube for all I care at this point. I mean, I just went to goddamn Panera Bread today, sat there like a fucking asshole on my computer and watched the Red Sox get their asses kicked. And I was gonna do all my goddamn special important things on the computer, get back to writing fight or play basketball or a goddamn screenplay, but instead I just copied and pasted fucking Ox Baker tributes. It was unfortunately, I guess I was a little depressed because today was a double whammy. Don't want to bring anyone down, but I found out that I'll give Carl a moment here. Yeah, the Sopranos movie was good. I did see that too. I did a review on the many fucking Saints of Newark. I thought it was good. Penelope Cruz, she looked good. But it was a double whammy today, gentlemen, and I God, Billy V. Vigent, who many of you guys won't know, but Billy V was a guest on my show, Messier. He's a good friend of mine. Unfortunately, Billy V passed away from cancer. I don't know if that was exactly today or yesterday, meaning Wednesday. I don't know if that was, but basically the news broke today. Billy V was kind of a legend in these parts of Rhode Island. Here I am in Rhode Island, and Billy V has passed away. Um, there was even times when I would post photos of myself on Facebook, and it would do the automatic tag of Billy V. Like the Facebook would tag me as Billy V. But if you want to watch, Billy V, probably one of his finest hours, I think, was on Messier Mantra when he was talking about fighting cancer. And he had cancer on the ropes, but the cancer came back, and it's sad, man. And I feel bad, but I was kind of numb because I was so stunned by this news. It hasn't really sunk in yet. It really hasn't. And then within moments, I see somebody posting in one of the wrestling groups that it's the 7-year anniversary of Ox Baker being passing away. And Ox Baker was a friend of mine. And I put my memories, the memories started coming back. And I used to have these birthday parties at a place called the Brooklyn Coffee and Tea House, which is in Providence. That always threw everybody off. That the Brooklyn Coffee and Tea House in Providence, Rhode Island, um, I had these birthday parties every December, and I believe Billy V and Ox Baker interacted, several times. So it was just kind of sad because I'm thinking about, of a guy I used to know, Jason TC. I guess I still know him. He used to say, we're here for a good time, not for a long time." You know what I mean? So I'll be honest with you, like some of my views of world dominance, like, oh, I'm going to have every screenplay I ever wrote is going to be a goddamn feature film, and every fucking thing I do is going to happen magically. At some point, you say, you know what? Maybe I don't have time to do all this shit. Like all the wonderful scripts I've written, all the wonderful things in my mind, I don't have enough time to even accomplish all of it. So why don't I enjoy going to the goddamn beach once in a while? Why don't I enjoy going to Epcot once in a while? You know what I mean? If you think about it, I mean, at least in the entertainment world, that's good, buddy. Paid vacation. Um, thanks, Mike. Yeah, Ox Baker, one of the boys. Yeah, it is a great video, and it was really Ox's idea. And here's the sad, yeah, that's it. Ox Baker, one of the boys. The sad thing, Mike, was that I had Ox scheduled to be in two motion pictures that I was trying to make for years. Wrestling with Sanity and Chris and the Coffee Girl. I had Ox scheduled to play my father in Chris and the Coffee Girl. I had Ox scheduled to be in Wrestling with Sanity, pretty much as himself, the Mighty Ox. And very frustrating. I could never find investors. I could never really get it going to make these movies. I wrote scripts that needed budgets that I couldn't just make out of the crumbs in my pocket. Some people they just don't understand how things work. Some movies you can make for little to no money, and some movies you can't. To be quite honest with you, so I wrote a couple of scripts. Like I said, Chris and the Coffee Girl probably needed at least 50 grand budget, if not more. And Wrestling with Sanity probably needed at least 100 grand, if not more, depending on who you cast. Unfortunately, I kind of wrote the scripts out of my own economy, out of my own budget, and I never, all these fucking people that are supposed to, be producers and help me find financing never fucking did a goddamn thing. So it never happened. So I feel bad because the only time I really worked with Ox is on Ox Baker, one of the boys. And another thing I kind of feel bad about is, we filmed that in 2013. Ox passed away in 2014. It took me quite some time to get that thing edited because there was some other rigmarole. There's always goddamn rigmarole. You know what I mean? But it's just I try. One thing about me, guys, is I'm realizing I have a really good fucking memory, and sometimes that's not to my advantage because when you remember things, sometimes they can just freeze you. It'd be better at times if I didn't have such a good memory because then I'd be free to move on. But my memory is so good, and I tend to not want to say dwell on the negative, but I tend to remember the bad things about situations more than the good. You know, and some fucks will give you that thing. Oh, a 300 percentage batter is the star of the team. Well, I guess I don't think that way. One of the sob stories I always say is, when I first started screenwriting, when I first started writing screenplays, I read some book where it was like some writer was talking about, well, I had 20 screenplays written and on my shelf before I got one produced. And I was like, holy fuck, I don't want to be a screenwriter with 20 screenplays written before one gets made. And now I'm pretty much a fucking screenwriter with 20 screenplays written and only a couple made, so it's frustrating. It's goddamn frustrating to be a screenwriter. It's almost as frustrating as being Dave Chappelle. A little humor. So any goddamn fucking way. So yeah, today was a double whammy. Ox Baker, the yeah, Ed Wood. Thanks a lot. Uh, Disregard the Vampire, Mike Messier documentary. Ed Wood, I did like the Ed Wood movie with Johnny Depp. That whole Johnny Depp thing with his fucking ex girlfriend, I don't quite fully understand it, to be honest with you. I don't get it. I don't. It's just weird to me. Like there's certain little nuances in pop culture, like Nicki Minaj is feuding with some other chick, and I don't know who either one of them really is. Like I don't sit there and listen to Nicki Minaj CDs or downloads, and she's feuding with somebody, little somebody, or I can't keep up with it. You know what I mean? And it's like Kanye, Kanye, Kanye. I've been hearing about Kanye for 15 fucking years, and I can't tell you 5 fucking Kanye songs. You know what I mean? Like, sorry, I don't know what the fuck Kanye does except he talks about Katrina and Bush and all this. But I mean, what the fuck? You know what I mean? There's a lot of things in pop culture that everybody gets all excited about, and I'm like on the outside kind of looking in, like what the fuck's going on that I don't know about. So I try to keep up a little bit, and then at some point I say, "This is all hog shit anyway. Like no one's gonna remember this stuff, so who gives a fuck?" You know what I mean? If you said Gary Hart in 1988, there's oh my god, Gary Hart, he was gonna be president, and then he fucked some chick and blah blah blah, Donna Rice. Now nobody gives a fuck. You know what I mean? So these things. I did actually like the new James Bond movie, Carl. I did do a review on it. There, I mean, once again, I'm having these conversations with people. People are talking about this new James Bond movie who haven't even seen it, and I've been getting a lot of these conversations. Oh, I heard that they're making James Bond a black woman. It's like, well, actually, if you go see the fucking movie, it's not quite that. It's they're trying to differentiate 007 from James Bond, and there is a black woman in the movie. But I like the goddamn movie, and I said in my review, this black lady, or I don't know, African American lady, whatever, in this movie, she doesn't scream star to me. Like she doesn't scream like if they're gonna spin her off as the new 007 in the whatever movie's next. I didn't quite feel it with her. I thought she was average. I did review it, buddy. I did review the new Sopranos movie. I think I did. The many God, didn't I? For Christ's sake, Many Saints of Newark. Mike Messier. I think one thing, guys, is I'm probably doing more videos than the hardcore Mike Messier people know. I would just suggest you check in, as much as you can handle it, and just check into my videos and click like the videos thing because I'm doing a lot of videos that I don't think people know that I'm doing them. If that makes any sense. So I believe I did do a review. It's possible that I didn't. It's possible I forgot. Uh, but I thought I did, Mike. Many Saints of Newark. Because I remember talking about, God, maybe I didn't. Yeah, I did, buddy. I did. I'm seeing it right here. It was a double header review. The Jesus Magic and the Many Saints of Newark review. It's got a red background and it's a double header video. So I just found it. It's only got 18 views, so I guess you're not one of them, buddy. But like I said, my instant movie reviews they don't get very high numbers for views, and I don't know why, but it's okay, man. No bad. I thought it was. I actually liked the movie. I'll be honest with you. I fell asleep a couple of times, but I was tired, and the chair was comfortable. But I'm telling you that Penelope Cruz, quite something. I put the that's the Many Saints of Newark and the Jesus Magic movie, which I saw twice. One thing about Jacksonville, gentlemen, I'll say, I could drive around that town, and sometimes I just go in the movie theater just to catch a nap. You know what I mean, or just to be alone. Because a lot of times, like when I went to see the Jesus Magic for the second time, I knew I'd be the only one in the theater. I got there and I was. I brought my 10-pound weight. I did some bicep curls, some tricep kickbacks. I kind of stretched my legs. I was having kind of a weird day physically. I think it was a hot day and I needed to be in the air conditioning, so I went to the movie theater. And with these subscription plans, you can do that. So just to follow up, folks, see, you ask and you shall receive. The new Sopranos movie, I did see it and I did like it, and I thought it was a good movie. And I really, I mean, not to fucking be a fanboy freak, but Penelope Cruz, man, she's like 46 years old. She looks fantastic. So blah blah blah. Cowboys and Aliens was great. God, I remember that one, Carl. I do. I remember seeing that. That was like 5 or 6 years ago. I want to say 2015, maybe 2013, 2011. I remember seeing that, buddy. Interesting. Mm, okay. So, yeah, I remember seeing that Cowboys and Aliens. I remember seeing that, buddy. Uh, Very good. So I don't know. Any other thoughts, comments? I guess just to follow up on my bitching and complaining. Um, hey, here we go. Hey, Jake. No, I don't know if this is the Jake that I'm going to do a podcast with, Jake Hudson, but I'll be happy to do that, Jake. Like I said to Mike there, Mike Messier, movie maker at gmail.com. Just send me a link and we'll get it going, or send me an email or whatever. Hey, AJ, what's up, buddy? And okay, so this Eric Bischoff Tony Khan thing. Okay, I did watch some of that, gentlemen, and I did see some of that. And let me see the exact quote because I think I did read it today. I didn't take it as hard as Tony took it. I mean, I think Eric Bischoff. I think it's almost like a sage who. Um, I think Eric just let's see. Eric Bischoff says Tony Khan comparing himself to Ted Turner was ignorant. Uh, let's see. I'm reading this from WrestlingInc.com. Former WCW president was very critical. Now this video is going to play. I don't want it to play. It's going to make a noise. I don't want it to. Let me say, I'm pulling. Okay, so we have the whole quotes. The blah blah blah. Uh, God, so it's a huge long quote. To come out and predict that AEW was going to defeat SmackDown on FS1 was a bad choice, not a good look. Blah blah blah. Tony Khan's tweet in brackets didn't do AEW any favors. You might have served the internet fan base, but you're not serving your business well because you got your ass kicked on Friday night. Simple as that. Uh, uh, oh, gee whiz. So I guess Tony Khan also posted a critical tweet about Ted Turner. Bischoff doesn't like that. Bischoff kind of loved Ted Turner. Yeah, okay. So this is a whole big long thing. I guess to cut to the chase, gentlemen, I didn't realize how extensive this was. I don't have a problem with it, with what Eric Bischoff said. I don't, because I think Eric Bischoff is being territorial towards what he remembers as. It's like this: Eric Bischoff lived the 90s in WCW. Eric Bischoff lived WCW from really its beginning to its end. I mean, if you consider the beginning of WCW, technically you could say December of '88, but it wasn't until like um, January of '91 that they started calling the titles the WCW titles, and I believe Bischoff was over there in WCW. When did he finally get there? I think by Great American Bash '89, '91. Great American Bash '91, Bischoff. So almost from the very beginning, not the exact very beginning of WCW. Bischoff was there, right? So he puts uh, Ted Turner in rarefied air. Ted Turner basically was his employer. Ted Turner was a big supporter of wrestling, WCW wrestling. Ted did appear on a Hulk Hogan Ric Flair thing when they were building up their match. So Ted did love wrestling. He may not have loved it as much as we do, but he did. Uh, let's see. So you guys have some hot takes on this. I think Khan and Eric are both delusional. From Mike, Adam's got something. Eric has earned the right to be a critical commentator. Khan hasn't done that much. Good point. Mikey they told us results at Tribute to Troop and on November the. Oh boy. Well, gee whiz, I don't know. I don't know if Crown Jewel was taped or if it's some type of time warp thing or whatever. I mean, I don't know. But let's not spoil it. If we have the results, please don't spoil for the other guys. Or for me. Um, I kind of agree with Adam's point here. I mean, I think that here's the thing. Here's the money shot, so to speak, on Tony Khan or the jugular. Tony, you're here because of your dad's money. And you can say the same thing about Junior over on the other side, McMahon. Say the same thing about Stephanie and Triple H to an extent, although he had to service her with 3 children, Stephanie. The point is, these guys aren't self-made. Tony Khan sure as hell is not self-made. I'm not picking on Tony Khan. I'm a big AEW guy. I'm a big fan of AEW. I like Tony's stuff, his wrestling, but the thing is, Tony, you can't claim that if the House of Hardcore Wrestling or if some other wrestling group, Beyond Wrestling from Rhode Island, for instance, if any of these groups had the money that you benefited from your dad's invention of the thing that he does for the Toyota vehicles, and more power to him. But you know, any of these other people could have done what you're doing, which is basically provide an alternative to WWE, and I'm very happy with what he's doing. But I think Tony might be talking a little bit of out of his ass. I did see Tony's response to Eric, and as I said on Twitter, I started to read Tony's response to Eric, and then I had to switch to the opening chapters of Moby Dick to wake myself up. Point is, gentlemen, I listened to 83 weeks. I listened to Bischoff. Sometimes he gets repetitive. I feel that maybe Bischoff feels like that's sacred ground. Those are sacred memories of him, Ted Turner, Jim Ross, Tony Schiavone. Uh, uh, I hear you, buddy. Yeah, well, you're right. Shanna Baszler, which I think you told me is actually a lesbian, gay, good power to her, was put in the tournament just to lose. Yeah, they know that Saudi Arabia has issues with this. Here's okay. So we're getting on to another topic, but let me finish up with this Khan thing, and I'll get back to the Saudi Arabia. Um, Eric Bischoff feels that he is the authority on WCW prosperity in 96, 97, 98, and its decline in 99, 2000, 2001. Eric Bischoff feels that that's his story to tell. When a guy who has a certain amount of power and influence and attention right now, Tony Khan, comes in and says these things about Ted Turner, and Ted Turner didn't know 1% about wrestling and all this stuff. I think that hurts Eric's feelings because he's very provincial about that story because he lived it. Tony did not live it. He was a fan, like the rest of us were, during that time. So for Tony to kind of spew off and talk about Eric's life, it's kind of like what the transgender people were saying about Dave Chappelle. You don't know us. You don't know what we go through. Hey, look, Luthez is back. What would Luthez do? Rich kids almost always walk through life like they hit a triple at their first at bat after being born on third base. Yep, I've heard Jim Ross say that sometimes. Rich kids almost always walk through life like they hit a triple in their first at bat after being born on third base. You got it. Good point. The point, yeah, great point, Lou. Tony, basically, he's going after Roman Reigns. He's going on, and I kind of enjoy it. But I think Eric might have been saying, I think he might have said this last week on 83 Weeks, or maybe I'm thinking of something else. But somebody said this on Twitter with this. It was like Tony Khan is gonna be like unsympathetic pretty soon. Like if he keeps going hard and putting himself over, I don't think we want another Vince McMahon. Like I don't think we want another Kiss My Ass Club type of wrestling owner. At least I don't. I don't want to see Tony Khan any more than I have. In fact, I did a video before AEW started with weekly television, daring Tony Khan to not appear for like the first 2 months, which I think he did. But then, like two months and a week later, he came into it. Yeah, good point. This is putting Conrad in difficult positions. Is kind of funny. Yeah, it's fun to hear Conrad's Alabama voice get a little tweaked out by it all. I think I think Eric made a strong point, and I think that I started to read Tony's response, and it's like, Tony, are you listening to Eric, or are you just spouting off? Oh God, how long till Tony Khan is a full-time on-air character? That would suck. Um, I don't think they need him, and I've enjoyed having a wrestling company where the owner is not on TV. There are rumors Celebrity Wing WWE Hall of Fame inductee will be Chucky from Child's Play if they do White Out Bedwalk. Good point. Yeah, because Chucky killed people all the time, right? That's a good point. Roll Tide on that. let me get to this other point. I, Basically, I would probably go with Eric on this to put it in succinctly. I'm hashtag Team Eric. Dixie Tony. That's funny. Making a comparison. I always think that EC3's career was doomed in WWE because Vince was upset. He was Dixie Carter's nephew. Let's see. I was watching some of EC3 on his Feed the Narrative or Create the Narrative thing. Let's talk about this. Okay, Michael AJ Norris, great point here, buddy. And here's what I want to get into, but I'll keep it somewhat brief. The danger with these Saudi Arabian shows, and I've known this forever. I've done tons of videos about it. I'm stopped being angry about it because I can't control it. But the point is, they're allowing the WWE is allowing the Saudi Arabian Sports Authority to have the pencil. They've sold them the pencil. And Shayna Baszler as a lesbian is a great point. Shayna Baszler as a lesbian, getting tired. Shayna Baszler as a lesbian is she's a great wrestler regardless of her sexuality. First of all, I'll say that. Second of all, if this was not going to be in Saudi Arabia, it would be a great tournament for Shayna Baszler to win. Or how about the SmackDown lady, the commissioner lady? I don't know why she's not wrestling. But my point is, because they are going to Saudi Arabia and they know that homosexuals are not encouraged, to put it mildly, in Saudi Arabia, they have Shayna lose. You know what I mean? What was the other guy? Aleister Black. He had the tattoo of the female demon on his back, so they wouldn't book him in Saudi Arabia. Sami Callahan. No, Sami Zayn. They would not book in Saudi Arabia. So they are literally, oh God, Tony could put the belt on himself like Russo did. Yeah, Shayna Baszler, she's a legit shooter, right? Point is, if this was just storyline stuff, like say that was going to take place in Madison Square Garden or Philadelphia, can you imagine how big of a crowd reaction Shayna Baszler would get if she won the Queen of the Ring in Philadelphia? And the matches were not just 2-minute matches. I mean, people were criticizing these matches that were 2 minutes long. So now we have Doudrop versus Selena Vega, and I actually predicted in the Hameen Media discussion group today. I predicted Zelina would win because I hate to say this, but the dark complexion, she looks more like the Saudi Arabian people. So I predicted Xavier Woods to beat Finn Balor because he has a darker complexion, and they're playing to the Saudi Arabians. And they're having Mansoor, who's Saudi Arabian, on that show, so he's going to win his match. And I think so I haven't been watching WWE, but I pick it up. I guess Mansoor and his tag team partners split up just in time for this match. But people were like, why are they, splitting them up? They're a good tag team. The point is, I'm going to be doing other things tomorrow at 5 o'clock when the show is on. This fucking Saudi Arabian fucking crown jewel thing. I see a lot of people are just kind of thinking of this as another pay-per-view. Like, oh, yay, we get to watch Crown Jewel. I heard Queen is providing the theme song for Crown Jewel. It's Don't Lose Your Head, right? Nice one. That's from the Highlander soundtrack, as a matter of fact. I believe Queen wrote that song in honor of the film. If you get the album, A Kind of Magic, it's kind of the unofficial soundtrack to the movie Highlander. It's got like 5 or 6 songs from the movie Highlander in it. Did you know that there is a wrestling scene in the movie Highlander, the original one? And let's see who knows what the first match is. Who knows what the wrestling match is in the Highlander movie? Who's going to make a comment? Comment away if you know it. Yeah, that's right. Freebirds, good job, Adam. And remember who they wrestled? Kind of an interesting team. Interesting. Who did the Freebirds wrestle in the opening match? And where did it take place? And where was it filmed? Wow. Good questions that I'm asking. Once again, to wrap this thing, or to talk about it for a moment, the problem with these Saudi Arabian shows is they started booking the WWE to revolve around the whims of the Saudi Arabian government. And I'm sorry, guys, but I'm opposed to that. Well, I'm going to give the answer real quick. Bound for Glory. This day is. I'll, good point. Will Braun and Bray show up? I think probably Braun will. I'm holding out on Bray. I think Bray's going to do something different. Somebody had a thought that no, it was actually the Freebirds wrestled Jim Brunzell, Greg Gagne, and the Tonga Kid at the beginning of the Highlander movie, and it was actually filmed in the New Jersey Meadowlands for an AWA show, but it was said to be New York's Madison Square Garden. Yeah, it was filmed at the Meadowlands, Lou. Greg Gagne, Jim Brunzell, and the Tonga Kid, who would, be around forever, become part of the Samoan SWAT team and everything else. A member of, the Roman Reigns Rock family. But yeah, Gagne, Brunzell. By the time the movie came out, Brunzell was part of the Killer Bees. Tonga Kid against the Freebirds. Taped at the Meadowlands, takes place at MSG. Man, I wasn't even thinking about Impact's pay-per-view. I'll say this. Braun Strowman will show up. No Bray Wyatt. Trying to think of what you show up for Morocco. Well, anyway, gentlemen, we've had a good run here. I was actually doing this without the computer being plugged in. Error on my part. The battery's on red. Going to call it a wrap. I mean, look, I'll be honest. I probably will watch the Crown Jewel at some point. I'm not going to be such a ingrate that I don't watch it. It'll be interesting to see this Roman Reigns thing. I'm predicting Roman Reigns. Yeah, man, you're right. Why didn't Michael P.S. Hayes talk about that scene? Good point. I mean, but I don't know. Maybe he didn't get a payday from the movie. Who knows? All right, gentlemen. Well, have a good night. Thanks for chiming in. This has been a fun time. We went from the Dave Chappelle story into other elements of society. We got to wrestling, which usually happens, but that's okay. I enjoyed myself. We had some good guys in here. Adam, uh, Mike, and his buddy Jake. Feel free to, like I said, Mike Messier, moviemaker at gmail.com. Or you can just go to mikemessier.com. There's a contact. Uh, Avalonia Festival is still accepting films. And photography. If any of you guys take photos, I run a photography contest, Avalonia Photography Competition on Film Freeway. But we had some good people in here tonight. Adam, what would Lou Thez do? Nice to have you in the live chat. AJ, of course, as always. Buddy Carl chimed in, which was nice. My buddy Bob was here early in the night, but I don't know if Bob bailed on us, but maybe he's still here, which would be pleasant. And Eric, of course, had some early comments. So I appreciate it, guys. We had like an all-star show of interaction. Like I said, feel free to share these links, share these videos. Okay, guys, have a good Thursday. Have a good night. Thank you.